it happens again. You're under the hot spray of the shower, tucked under your covers at night, or perhaps just zoning out while gazing through the glass on your commute. Then, in a heartbeat, you've drifted off to a completely different place. You're deep in a dialogue that never took place. Finally settling that grudge from 3 years ago, or perfecting a monologue you'll never actually speak. You're inhabiting a life that exists only in your head. And when reality pulls you back, there's this odd, lingering sensation. Part relief, part letdown. Because for a brief moment, that fabricated world felt more authentic than your own skin. Let's look at what's actually happening here. You aren't just daydreaming. Not in the way most people describe it, at least. You are building intricate, expansive realities. They are visceral, detailed, emotional. You script intense confrontations with those who hurt you. You play out grand successes where everyone finally recognizes your true value. You craft romantic encounters with acquaintances, or map out disasters you're trying to prevent, even though they'll likely never arrive. But here is the truth. These visions aren't just random static. They aren't born of boredom or just some runaway imagination. They are your mind's way of attempting to resolve something it cannot fix within the limitations of your actual day-to-day. So let me be clear. You are not stuck. You aren't squandering your life in fantasy, and you certainly aren't retreating from reality because you lack strength. Your brain is doing exactly what it was designed to do. It is simulating, testing, and preparing. It is reaching for a sense of control in a world that often feels entirely unmanageable. Let's peel back the layers on how this functions. There is a specific circuit in your brain known as the default mode network. It kicks into gear the moment you stop focusing on the world around you. When you drift into thought, this network comes to life. And for some of us, it runs on overdrive. It doesn't just wander aimlessly. It builds. It constructs sophisticated simulations of what might be, what should be, or what could have been. In our daily reflections, we call this mental exploration. Your mind is effectively running parallel versions of reality, not to cause you distress, but to harvest wisdom from those possibilities, to refine your responses for the future, or to finally process the echoes of your past. Think of it this way. Your brain is essentially a high-end prediction machine. It is constantly asking the same questions. What comes next? How should I react? What if things go wrong? When you conjure these imagined scenarios, you are essentially conducting a mental dress rehearsal. You are running high-stakes simulations, much like a pilot refining their craft in a flight simulator, testing your reactions, building your confidence, and bracing for the unknown. But this is where it gets complicated. Sometimes the simulation stops being a practice run and becomes a substitute. You play out that conversation so many times that you never actually find the courage to have it. You visualize your success so vividly that the real grueling work feels less pressing. You replay the past hurts until you are tethered to them. That vital tool, designed to prepare you, quietly becomes a cage. There is another, deeper driver behind this, the craving for control. In your waking life, you have zero influence over how others react to you. You cannot predict the outcome of every interaction, and you certainly cannot hit rewind. But in your mind, you are the director, the writer, and the lead actor. You always land the perfect comeback. You are finally heard. You finally win. Your brain craves that sense of power, especially if you have spent significant time feeling overlooked, misunderstood, or powerless.
These simulations become a sanctuary where you finally possess agency, where you finally matter. And please, understand, that is a natural human response to complex emotions. That is fundamentally human. But there is a price to pay. When you dwell in these scenarios for too long, your grip on reality begins to loosen. You start to confuse the emotions triggered by your imagination with the genuine substance of lived experience. You find yourself feeling genuine frustration toward people for actions they only performed inside your head. You feel a hollow disappointment when your actual life fails to follow the script you've penned. Gradually, the divide between your inner world and your outer world grows wider. You start to prefer the comfort of your own mental scenarios over the messiness of reality. Because reality is chaotic, unpredictable, and entirely unscripted, and your brain struggles to cope with that uncertainty. So, how can you work with this rather than against it? The answer isn't to force yourself to stop, nor is it to spiral into shame. It is about recognizing what these scenarios are truly trying to provide. Start by externalizing them. When you catch yourself caught in a loop, write it down. You don't need to obsessively analyze it, you just need to move it out of that endless circular feedback loop. Remember, your brain is just trying to process something it hasn't resolved yet. So let it process. Give it a physical form. Write those thoughts down. In daily practice, this is known as expressive writing, and it's remarkably effective because it finally closes the loop your mind has been stuck in. Once your thoughts are out on the page, your brain can finally let go of that internal replay. Next, ask yourself this: is this scenario preparing me, or is it protecting me? There is a vital distinction. If you're mentally rehearsing a challenge because you intend to face it, that is preparation. But if you are replaying that same moment without taking action, that is avoidance. Your brain will use both strategies, so learn to recognize which one is currently in control. Third, set a boundary. You don't need to banish these thoughts, but you can contain them. Allow yourself 10 minutes to dive into the daydream, and then return to the present. This teaches your brain that these scenarios are a tool, not a place to live. You are allowed to visit, but you don't stay there. Fourth, gently anchor yourself in the present when you feel your focus drift. Don't be harsh with yourself. Feel the weight of your feet against the floor. Notice your breathing, or focus on something tangible in front of you. This engages your senses and pulls you back into reality. This moment, this body, and this life, this is what is real. Think of it like this. Your mind is a river. The scenarios are the current, sometimes gentle, sometimes wild. You cannot stop the river, but you can choose not to be carried away. You can observe it and then continue your own path. The scenarios will always exist. That isn't the problem. The issue arises when you mistake them for the destination. They are simply your mind's way of navigating a complex world, trying to protect you and prepare you. You've spent time in those mental spaces, and some of them may have brought comfort. But you don't have to stay there. You can let them remain what they were meant to be, temporary simulations, not your life. Your real world is waiting. It is messy, unpredictable, and unscripted. But it is real, and that is enough.